Hello, Sixes, receiving students and the receiving teachers. Thank you, take your seat. Now, receiving students and Sixes, before we go into our today's lesson, receiving teacher, please quickly distribute piece of papers to your class, and they will do a short quiz. Now, students, the short quiz is on the screen. This is what you will do. You write your name on a piece of paper, and then you will use that piece of paper to do your activity. After the activity, you will hand over the paper to your teacher. So, during the activity, as soon as you finish your activity, I would like you to put your hands on your head, showing that you have completed the exercise. With that, receiving students and Sixes, we will move on to our activity for today, our quiz activity, before we go into our main lesson. Now, students, the activity is on subtraction of decimals. We've done this exercise already, so we've gone through this exercise, this lesson. Before we go to our main lesson for today, please quickly do that exercise as your quiz for today's lesson, or as our recapping lesson. Students, you have 3 minutes to do the exercise. Like I've said, when you finish, you put your hands on your head. Students, I would like you to do your own work. Don't show your working out and your answers to your friend. And also, when you're writing, please write it big and clear. Your answer must be spelled out clear. Students, 1 minute gone. We have last 2 minutes remaining. Like I've said, when you're finished, put your hands on your head. Receiving teacher, please go around collecting the piece of the work for those students or those students who have finished their work. You can go around and collect their papers. Students, you have last 1 minute. Last 1 minute. Please, your name on the paper. Write your name on the paper before you hand it in. All right, students, 3 minutes up. You should have given, within that 3 minutes, you should have given the exercise. The exercise is not that hard. It's only one question. 3 minutes is big enough for you to complete the exercise. Thank you. I think you have given all your papers to your teacher. Your teacher will mark the work, and at the same time, use the exercise as an accessible task. So, receiving teacher, you can use that exercise as your accessible task, which you have plan for your assessment for this term. Now, receiving students and 6s, we will move on to our lesson topic for today. Class, students, I would like you to look on the screen. What is the lesson topic for today? Okay, the lesson topic for today is on multiplying decimals by whole numbers. We've looked at addition of decimals. We've looked at subtraction of decimals. In today's lesson, we will look at multiplying decimals by whole numbers. So, in other words, we are still on decimals, students. But this time, we are trying to go to the next operation, which is multiplication. Now, before we go to the main activity, I would like us to go through some main points that you should remember when you are multiplying decimals with the whole numbers. Okay, class, the first point. When we are multiplying decimals, always remember that the number of the decimal places in the product or the answer must be equal to the total number of the decimal places in the factors. So whichever two numbers that you are multiplying, two decimal decimal numbers that you are multiplying, it must be in line or placed. The answer must be equal to the total number of the decimal places in the factor. The next point, multiplication of decimals is used every day in our daily lives, especially with money. So when we are dealing with money, you will come across to decimal numbers being used. So students, those are the two main points that I would like you to understand in this lesson. So one, money is used, decimal is used in real life situation, and what are other things that you must consider when you are multiplying decimals. Now we will move on to our learning activity. Class, I have the first learning activity for you on the screen. Multiply this decimal number with the whole number. So, exercise or example A, what is the problem given there? Students, can you read the problem given there? 1.2 times 3. So when we are adding a decimal number by a whole number, 1.2 is a what number? It's a decimal number. 3 is a whole number. Good. So here we are multiplying a decimal number and a whole number. So students, when we are multiplying a decimal number and a whole number, the first thing that we should do, we write the numbers in columns. Arrange them in column. For example, like that. So when you are given the number sentence, horizontal, you must try to put them in column or vertical, so that it can be easy for you to multiply. So having numbers arranged in column is the easiest way that you can multiply decimal numbers quick enough within less time. So write the numbers in column. The next step, you multiply these numbers or multiply the numbers as whole numbers. You can see there is a phrase in the bracket. Phrase in the bracket. What does that phrase say? So it's saying ignore decimal point. So when you're multiplying decimals with the whole numbers, you ignore the decimal point for a while. You only multiply normal. Multiply the numbers as a whole number, ignoring the decimal points. So what does this mean? You can see there. The example given on the screen. I did not consider decimal point. So I just multiply 12 times 3. And what is the answer there? 36. 12 times 3, 36. That's ignoring the decimal point. Now, Step number 3, count the number of places after the decimal point. So you go back to the factors that you have multiplied, the two numbers, 1.2 times 3. 1.2 is the decimal number. How many decimal numbers does 1.3 has? How many places of decimal point? 1. It has 1 decimal place in that example. So you can see from the screen, 1 decimal place, which means DP means 1 decimal places. Step number 4. Class or students, can you read step number 4? What does step number 4 states?
Place the decimal point accordingly.
So step number 4 says you place the decimal point accordingly. What does that mean? What does that mean? That refers to when you come to your answer, now this is your final answer. When you come to your final answer, how many decimal points that you have found from the factor? Like in that example, we have found that there is 1 decimal one decimal place in the factor. So your answer should have how many decimal places? 1, 3, or 2? How many? It will have 1 decimal place, because the factors that you have multiplied have 1 decimal place. Or can you understand what I am explaining here, receiving students and 6s? Good. So now you can see the example there. Because the factors have one of those factors of the two numbers that we are multiplying as 1 decimal place, and that is 1.2, 1 decimal place. Your answer will have 1 decimal place. So what do you think will be the final answer, receiving students and 6s? Okay, let's have Lorraine. What do you think is the final answer for that example?
3.6.
Okay, Lorraine says 3.6. Let's confirm that, if she is correct, receiving students and 6s. Now students, your final answer will have 1 decimal place, and that is 3.6. The decimal point will be between 3 and 6. Why having the 1 decimal place? Because the two factors, one of the factors that we have multiplied has 1 decimal place. That's why our answer has 1 decimal place also. Now receiving students and 6s, we will go to the next example. Sometimes we multiply by 10, 100, and thousands. Now 10, 100, and thousands are also whole number. There is a method when you are multiplying by 10, 100, and 1000. Now we will go through these examples, and then through this example you will try to understand how you can multiply, the methods on how you can multiply by 10, 100, and thousands. Okay, multiply decimals by 10. Example A is given there. A, if you are multiplying 5.235 by 10, 5.23 times 10. When multiplying by 10, we move the decimal point 1 place to the right. So 1 place to the right. Look at this example. 1 place to your right. So what will be the answer? Receiving students and 6s. Students, can you tell your teacher what will be the answer if you multiply 5.235 times 10? And the rule says you move the decimal point 1 place to the right. Alison? Alison, what will be the answer?
2.35.
2. Again, repeat, sorry.
2.35.
Okay, 2.35. Our friend says 2.35. Let's see what we have on the screen. The answer is 52.35. We are moving one decimal place to the right, just one place only. So your answer is 52.35. So students, the rule is multiplying by 10, you move decimal point one place to the right, one place only. How about when you're multiplying by 100? I have the same number there. This time we are multiplying by 100. Move the decimal point two places to the right. What do you think will be the answer? Okay, let's have OR.
523.5.
523.5. Okay, let's see if OR is correct. One place, two place, and the final answer is 523.5. So class OR is correct by saying 523.5. So multiplying by 100, two decimal places to the right. Always move two decimal places to the right. The last example is on 1000. Again, when you're multiplying by decimals by 100, this time we move three places to the right. So receiving students and 6 is, what do you think will be the answer? If you multiply 5.235 times 1000. Let's have Jason. Jason, what do you think is the answer? Jason, nice and loud. Loud and clear.
5,235.0.
5,235.0. Let's see what I have on the screen. One place, two place, and three place. So the decimal point is after what number? 5. So what is the answer? 5,235.0. Or you can also say it as 5,235. Still the same. So receiving students and 6 is, just to sum up what I have just gone through with you, when you are multiplying by 10, 100, and 1000. When multiplying by 10, 100, and 1000, we move to the right direction or move right, depending on the number of, depending on 10, if you are multiplying by 10, you move one place. If you are multiplying by 100, you move two places. And if you are multiplying by 1000, you move three places. Now receiving students and 6s, we will now move on to our exercise. I have two simple exercises for you to do, which is on the screen. The first one, you multiply these decimal numbers. Students, I would like you to take out the books, your exercise books, and do the first exercise number 1. We have A and B. To the receiving teacher, while the students are doing the work, please go around and supervise the students. Now students, if you have completed exercise A, you raise your hands up so that your teacher will come around and check your work. raise your hands up if you have finished, students. You raise your hands up so that your teacher will come and mark your work. Okay. Good. Check this. Not yet. Hurry up. Over. Check it over. Check it over. Oh. Check this. Check this. Please. Okay, very good. Check this. Okay, students, before we go to the next exercise, you have the next exercise there. Now, for exercise 2, receiving students and 6s, I would like you to quickly copy down the exercise, and then you do that exercise as your homework, and then give it to your teacher to check your work. So, I would like you to copy down the exercise before we correct one of the exercise, which is exercise number 1A. So quickly copy that exercise number 2 as your homework. When you're finished, please put your hands on your head so that I will know that you are finished. Shouldn't take you that long. Okay? About 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Finish? Okay. Let's go back to exercise number 1. Okay, I will have Michaelin here. Michaelin, please come to the board and show your answer for exercise A. Quickly. Receiving teacher, please select one student to go up to the board. Write the answer. What's your name? For B, wow, answer. Hurry up. Thank you. Wow. Now, students, let us look at the two answers. Exercise 1, A and B. Michaelin's answer, 4.5. Students, is she correct with the answer? Yes. Okay, the answer is correct, 4.5. 1.5 times 3 is equals to 4.5. Our friend Uvau did exercise B, 2.13 times 2. Is his answer correct? Yes. Decimal point placed in the correct place? Placed in the correct place? Yes. So his answer is correct. The answer is 4.26. Why 2 decimal places? Because the factor up here has how many places? How many decimal places? 2 places. That's why our final answer must have 2 decimal places. This one A, 1 decimal place. Therefore, our final answer must have 1 decimal place. Are we clear with that? 60s and receiving students. So it depends on the decimal numbers that you are multiplying. 3 decimal place, your answer must have 3 decimal place. 2 decimal place, your final answer must have 2 decimal places. With that, receiving students and 60s, for exercise number 2, like I've said, you do it as your homework and give it to your teacher. Now, our summary point for today's lesson. Students, I would like you to read the summary point. Read it loud and clear together. 1, 2, read.
Number of decimal places in the product must be equal to the total number of decimal places in the product.
You can see the example there. There's an example given. Or if you can look back at the whiteboard, that statement simply refers to when you are multiplying decimal numbers with 2 decimal places, your final answer must have 2 decimal places. 1 decimal place, your final answer must have 1 decimal place. So that's what that statement is simply referring to. And the next summary point, to multiply a decimal number by 10, you move the decimal point 1 place to the right. By 100, you move the decimal point how many places to the right? 2 places to the right. And by 1000, you move the decimal point 3 places to the right. Now receiving students and 60s. Those are our 3 summary main summary points or summary points for the lesson for today. With that, receiving students and sixes, our key phrase for the lesson for today is on multiplying decimals. Your next lesson topic is on multiplying a decimal by a decimal. With that, receiving students and sixes, let us bring us to the end of our lesson for today. And thank you very much for your participation.